world, and welcome back, or welcome if you are new here. At the beginning of 2020, when I was putting together my reading goals, I never once imagined that I would be participating in one, let alone two, readathons. But here we are. I mentioned last week in my wrap-up from the Owl's Magical Readathon that I would be participating in the 2020 Asian Readathon hosted by Read with Cindy. So we're gonna talk about that challenge and the books that I will be reading for it. All right, get the bullet journal out. I don't have my setup for the Asian Readathon done, but I have it sketched out and I have my notes here. So we're gonna go with it, and hopefully next week there will be a bullet journal setup of my tracker. This is, I believe, the second year that Read with Cindy has hosted this readathon. I completely missed that this existed last year, so this is the first time hearing about it, but because it is another month-long readathon, it sounded very doable for me, so figured why not participate. All right, so there are 4 challenges for this readathon with a twist / note, and then there's an extra optional 5th challenge. Let's go through all of the challenges, what books I plan to read, you know, just like a normal TBR for a readathon. First up is a book written by an Asian author. That's it. For this, I have selected Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi, which is not actually on my TBR. I have a different book by Tahereh Mafi on my TBR that's been there for years that I desperately want to read and that my library still has not acquired despite my repeated requests. That book is Furthermore, but since I don't have access to that, I'm gonna read Shatter Me. I'm not mad about, I don't know a whole lot about it. My impression is that it's perhaps YA dystopian? Maybe? I know that it's wildly popular. Challenge number 2 is to read a book featuring an Asian character or by an Asian author who you can relate to in some way. I have selected Midsummers Mayhem by Rajani LaRocca? Yeah, who is Indian American. This is a middle grade play on Midsummer Night's Dream with a focus on food. The author and the protagonist are women. I'm a woman, and this is focused on food, and I love food, so that seems like enough common ground to me. The 3rd challenge, conversely, is to read a book featuring an Asian character or by an Asian author who is different from you. You might not have noticed this. I'm white, so any selection would qualify. For this, I have gone with The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu, who is a Chinese author and a man, so that's pretty different from me. I know a little bit more about this now. I've talked about this before. I've been excited to read this for years. I know now that it is a first contact with aliens story. I'm nervous about it because this is a very science-heavy book, so I will be listening to the audiobook as well as reading my physical copy so I can take notes and hopefully understand what I'm reading. I'm a little bit intimidated by this, but it's time. It's time for it to happen. And the 4th challenge is to read a book recommended by an Asian person. So this can be a recommendation by a booktuber, a recommendation from a friend. This is the one that I struggled with the most, trying to match up books that were on my TBR, books that were available from my library, and books that have actually been recommended. The one that I have selected is a recommendation from a fellow bullet journal YouTuber, Juliet T. Lin, who does fantastic bullet journal setups. I highly recommend her. And for February this year, she did a setup inspired by To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. She talked a little bit about her love for the book, the film, and the author. So I am taking that as a recommendation. The 5th and final optional challenge is to read Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I do not plan to participate in this particular challenge. Everything that I have sort of heard about and learned about Little Fires Everywhere, I don't think it's a book that I would enjoy very much. It seems very much in a psychological thriller vein, which is not a type of story that I enjoy. I will probably watch the television show at some point, but I don't have easy access to it now, so I'm not going to be reading that. Instead, I've pulled a few other books from my TBR that have been there for a really long time that I couldn't fit into other challenges, and once I have read the 4 books for the actual challenges, of the readathon, then I'm going to turn to these other ones and get through as many of those as I'm able, assuming that I can read all 4 of these books. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Just because I succeeded at the Owls doesn't mean I'm magically this like super reader and I can read all of the things that I want to. The first one of my extra books is Nine Fox Gambit by Yoon-ha Lee, who is a Korean author. Oh my god. Pause. So I failed to mention what sort of the twist and extra challenge was. So for this challenge, every book that is selected should be written by and or represent a different Asian ethnicity. So if one author is Korean, then that knocks out Korean as an option for the other 3 books. Does that make sense? Yeah. For the first challenge, Tahira Mafi is Iranian. The second challenge, La Roca is Indian American. Three Body Problem, I said Cixin Liu is Chinese, and Jenny Han is a Korean author. Okay, unpause. Nine Fox Gambit is science fiction, I know that, and I know that I was super intrigued by it when I heard about it. I now remember exactly nothing about it or where I heard about it from, so that'll be fun. But it's been on my TBR for so long, I might as well get to it. Next is The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro, who is a Japanese author. I don't even remember adding it to my TBR. It's been there so long. It's a play on Arthurian legend and mythology, which sounds fascinating. Next is Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee, who is a Chinese Vietnamese author. This is a middle grade superhero story. It is absolutely criminal that I haven't read this yet. It's been on my TBR so long. And lastly is The School for Good and Evil by Somani Chainani. Chainani? Really need to practice that. Who is also Indian American. I don't think I need to explain this one too much. It's pretty well known. So that's a lot of books. That's 8 books. Do I realistically think I can read all of these? Not a chance. But will I do my best? Yes, I will. I'm really excited to be participating in this readathon. I'm so excited that I am actually capable of reading to challenges, and like I'm pulling these books off of my TBR and I'm reading things that I've wanted to for a really long time. I'm feeling really accomplished and really motivated, so I'm excited to keep that momentum going into May. If you are curious about the readathon, I will have all of the information and links down in the description below. You can go and check that out. Let me know down in the comments if you are planning to participate in the Asian Readathon. Thank you very much for watching. I don't think I had anything else to say. Don't forget to stay tuned next week for my bullet journal setup for this readathon. Yeah, that's it. I hope that you are healthy and safe and doing well in this very strange and difficult time for all of us, and I will talk to you all later.